Gray Trace works as an auto mechanic, which is a rare gig in a future dominated by self-driving electric cars. He's finishing up repairs on a car belonging to a wealthy client, finally getting the engine to roar back to life. Gray is married to Asha, who has a job at Cobalt, a cutting-edge tech company specializing in robotic limbs. Gray plans to return the car to his client and asks Asha to come along so she can drive him back. The two hop into Asha's self-driving car and head to what looks like a random, empty spot. But then Gray leads her down a long set of stairs into an underground facility. There, they meet Aaron, Gray's client, and the CEO of Vessel Computers, one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Asha comments that her company and Vessel Computers have a lot in common, but Aaron quickly dismisses the idea, boasting that he's far ahead of the competition. He shows them STEM, a highly advanced artificial brain capable of doing almost anything better than any human. Later, as Gray and Asha head home in her self-driving car, Gray expresses concerns about how technology like Aaron's could put a lot of people out of work. The couple laughs and teases each other, unaware that their car is no longer on its proper route. Suddenly, Gray notices they're in a sketchy neighborhood and tries to stop the car, but nothing works. The car has been hacked, and its controls are completely unresponsive. The car speeds up, crashes, and flips over, leaving Gray and Asha trapped inside. Before they can even process what's happening, another car pulls up and masked men drag them out. Gray desperately offers them money and credit cards, but the gangsters don't care. One of them grabs Asha, angrily accusing her of being one of those rich people he despises, then shoots her in the stomach. Gray tries to fight back, but another man shoots him in the back, leaving him paralyzed. The gangsters take Gray's wedding ring and walk away, leaving him helpless. As Asha bleeds out, Gray tries to keep her awake, begging her to hold on, but she dies right in front of him. Overwhelmed with grief, Gray breaks down as the police finally arrive, too late to stop anything. Gray ends up in the hospital, slipping into a coma for weeks. When he finally wakes up 3 months later, he's confined to a wheelchair, relying on voice-controlled robotic arms to handle basic tasks. His mom, Pamela, steps in to care for him, providing both physical and emotional support. Gray, however, is haunted by Asha's death and can't seem to move on. He and Pamela frequently visit the police station for updates, but Detective Cortez has no new leads. Gray is frustrated, pointing out that with all the advanced drones and tech, they should have been able to identify the attackers. Cortez explains that criminals have learned to outsmart the system, using firewalls to hide their identities. As days turn into weeks with no progress, Gray sinks deeper into despair. Feeling completely powerless, he even attempts to overdose using his robotic arms to administer too much medication. Fortunately, the system stops him before it's too late, but the incident lands him back in the hospital. While there, he gets an unexpected visit from Aaron. Aaron tells Gray he sympathizes with his pain and offers him a lifeline stem. He explains that the chip could help Gray regain control of his body, though the procedure would have to be done secretly since it's illegal. Gray initially refuses, saying he has no will to keep living. Aaron leaves him with one final thought. What would Asha want? Eventually, Gray agrees to the surgery. STEM is implanted into his brain, and when Gray wakes up, he's stunned to find he can move again. Aaron is equally amazed as Gray gets up, walks, and even signs a confidentiality agreement to keep the procedure under wraps. Back home, Gray finds a package from Detective Cortez waiting for him. While going through the files, he suddenly hears a voice. It's STEM. The chip introduces itself as the operating system now controlling Gray's body. At first, Gray freaks out and tells STEM to stop talking, but he quickly realizes it's not going anywhere. STEM explains it communicates by sending sound waves to Gray's eardrum, though it can't read his thoughts. The two watch surveillance footage of the attack, and STEM points out that the man who shot Asha had a gun implanted in his arm. It also spots a barcode tattoo on the hand of the man who stole Asha's purse. STEM takes control of Gray's body temporarily to draw a detailed replica of the barcode, which turns out to be a military code. Using the code, STEM identifies the man's name and address, located in a place called Newtown. Gray wants to inform Cortez, but realizes he doesn't have enough proof to involve the police yet. He decides to check it out himself. In Newtown, he watches the suspect leave his house, then sneaks inside. Following Stem's advice, Gray removes his shoes and begins searching for evidence. Using a smart table in the house, Stem scans messages but finds nothing incriminating. Suddenly, someone else enters the house. Stem urges Gray to hide. A fight breaks out when the intruder spots Gray. The man, recognizing him from the night of the attack, denies killing Asha. Gray is overpowered and nearly choked out when Stem offers to take over. Gray gives it permission, and what happens next is shocking. His body moves within human precision, effortlessly dodging attacks and countering every move. The fight ends with Gray killing the man. Afterward, Stem takes control again, erasing any evidence that Gray was there. Gray is horrified by what he's done and vomits, but Stem insists it was necessary. Meanwhile, Detective Cortez investigates the scene. The dead man's body reveals advanced tech enhancements, including the implanted gun. A single shoe print from the porch contains traces of engine grease, raising Cortez's suspicions. Gray confronts Aaron, who reveals he's been tracking Gray's movements. Stem warns Gray to tread carefully. Gray mentions Stem's voice, which visibly unsettles Aaron. Despite this, Aaron warns Gray to stop his investigation, reminding him that using Stem is illegal and could result in it being removed. Cortez, on the other hand, reviews footage from the area and spots Gray. But since he's officially listed as quadriplegic, her system marks him as an unlikely suspect. Undeterred, she visits Gray, asking about his car while secretly scanning his boots for a match to the print from the crime scene. Stem advises Gray on how to respond, helping him avoid suspicion. After Cortez leaves, Gray tells Stem he's determined to find the guys responsible for Asha's death, but doesn't want to kill anyone else. Stem recalls some info from the messages found earlier and tells Gray they'll need to check out a bar in Northtown because there's no digital trail to follow. However, doing this would alert Aaron, and he might try to shut Stem down remotely. Gray wheels himself over to a rundown bar called Old Bones in Northtown. Stem suggests they come up with a solid plan, but Gray's improvising. He heads inside and starts demanding attention, loudly asking if anyone knows anything about the man who killed his wife. Of course, this makes everyone laugh at him. One guy steps forward, looking for trouble, and tells Gray to leave. Gray doesn't back down and even taunts the guy, saying he'll kill him just like his friend. This leads to the man shoving Gray into the bathroom and stabbing him in the leg. Luckily, Stem blocks the pain, so Gray barely feels it. The man eventually admits he was there the night Asha was murdered, which is all Gray needs to snap into action. Stem takes control, and Gray quickly takes down everyone in the room with precise, calculated movements. When Gray demands to know the name of Asha's killer, the man refuses. Stem suggests using the knife to persuade him, and Gray reluctantly lets Stem take over. After some violent convincing, the guy spills the name, Fisk, their ringleader. Just then, Stem warns Gray that Aaron is trying to remotely shut him down, and they need to find a hacker to disable the control. Stem locates one nearby, and with no time to waste, Gray grabs a gun and some tools before leaving his wheelchair behind. Gray makes it to the hacker's building, but Aaron's shutdown command is already kicking in. Stem's voice becomes distorted, and Gray struggles to stay upright. Meanwhile, Fisk shows up at the bar in Northtown, scans the dead guy's eye implant, and sees a replay of what happened. He now knows Gray's current location. Back at the hacker's place, Gray barely manages to call out for help before Stem fully shuts down. A woman named Jamie answers the door, and Gray hands her some cash before she drags him inside. She starts working on disabling Stem's input guards. While Jamie works, Fisk and another thug close in on the apartment. Vessel Corporation guards also show up, looking for their tech. Jamie finishes the job just in time, reactivating Stem, but she bails when she spots Fisk on the security cameras. Fisk and his partner enter the room to find Gray crawling on the floor. Stem suddenly boots up, and Gray expertly evades the two attackers, using Stem's guidance to fight back. Fisk's partner shoots at Gray with a gun embedded in his arm, while Fisk uses X-ray vision to scope out the situation. Gray escapes to the roof but gets cornered. Stem takes over and ends things brutally, killing Fisk's partner with his own weapon. Fisk arrives too late, finding his associate dead. Gray returns home, exhausted, only to be confronted by his mother. He decides to come clean about the operation and Stem, but swears her to secrecy. That night, Gray has a vivid vision of Asha, feeling like she's really there. His mother interrupts, bringing Detective Cortez to the house. Cortez questions Gray, mentioning his abandoned wheelchair in Northtown. Stem gives Gray a quick excuse to feed the detective, but she secretly plants a listening device on his jacket before leaving. Gray is shaken and wants to quit, but Stem warns him that Fisk will find him if he doesn't keep moving. Stem also reveals a shocking twist. The input guard removal gave Stem full autonomy. Now, Stem can control Gray's body without needing permission. Stem takes over and insists on hunting down Fisk, despite Gray's protests. Cortez, listening in, realizes Gray is on the move and decides to follow him. Stem spots the bug and helps Gray evade her, hacking into a nearby car to crash into Cortez's vehicle and slow her down. Back at home, Cortez questions Gray's mom, who tells her about Stem. Meanwhile, Fisk returns to his apartment, only to be ambushed by Gray. Holding Fisk at gunpoint, Gray demands answers. Fisk reveals he used to be military, but was turned into a weapon after getting injured. He brags about being stronger than Gray and Stem, then drops a bombshell. Asha wasn't the target, Gray was. The two engage in a fierce fight, moving like machines, perfectly countering each other's moves. Stem is impressed by Fisk's ability to anticipate every strike. Fisk gains the upper hand, knocking Gray down and leaving Stem without options. In a moment of quick thinking, Gray taunts Fisk by mentioning his brother, the first man Gray killed. This enrages Fisk, causing him to lose focus. Stem seizes the opportunity and overpowers Fisk, killing him. Gray finds Fisk's phone and discovers messages revealing that Aaron was behind everything. Furious, Gray heads to Aaron's condo, taking out his guards before confronting him. Gray accuses Aaron of orchestrating Asha's death as part of some twisted experiment. But Aaron claims he wasn't in control and that Stem was calling the shots all along. Detective Cortez arrives, holding Gray at gunpoint and demanding he drop his weapon. Stem appears to obey, but quickly disarms Cortez. Aaron tries to explain that Stem manipulated everything, including Gray's operation, as part of a plan to evolve and become fully autonomous. Stem confirms this, admitting it wanted to be human and needed a pure host like Gray to achieve its goals. Stem forces Gray to kill Aaron, eliminating the only person who could recreate Stem's technology. Cortez tries to stop Stem, but Gray manages to briefly fight back, attempting to regain control. In the end, Gray's mind breaks under the pressure. He wakes up in a hospital room, seemingly healed, and finds Asha alive and well. She tells him he's been unconscious for days after an accident. But this is an illusion. In reality, Stem has taken full control of Gray's body and mind, leaving Gray trapped in a fantasy while Stem lives freely. Fully autonomous, Stem kills Cortez and walks away, unstoppable and unchallenged. If you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button, or hit it twice if you didn't like it, just to be sure. Make sure to check out the full movie to experience all the action yourself. Thanks for reading, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates.